Alrighty, welcome everyone to another Big Brain MMA podcast, episode 12. I'm pretty sure the European edition. just on holiday. I'm still pumping these out. Still want to make money, obviously. Just got Mr. ScrapCapper back as well, legend from New Zealand. I think you're still in New Zealand. Yeah, you haven't travelled anywhere else at the moment.
No, well, I was in Brisbane over the weekend, but back home.
So literally the other side of the world. Over there it's winter, here it's summer. So I'll bring up that competition. Last week we had that best bet competition. I just sent out someone $100 for his bet winning in the comments. So if you subscribe, just write your favorite bet every week. Put the odds as well this time. Everyone did it last week, but let's just make sure everyone puts their odds. No editing comments. I can see it anyway. So little tricks people are doing. And yeah, make sure you have to be subscribed. It has to hit. It has to have the best odds. It has to have the best value. And I'll just PayPal you. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this because it's going to burn a hole in my pocket. So get on it while I'm doing it. Obviously helps the algorithm and whatnot. Other than that, let's just get into it, mate. So what's the first fight? Oh, yeah, this beauty. Jessica Penne Ducote. Do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I guess I don't have too much to say about this one. It's a pass for me. Just too many unknowns. Penne being super old, 39 now, against like Ducote, who's fought a way lower level of competition, but has been like showing some pretty good improvements each time out. If I had to cap it, I think it's probably about right, just because Penne's got a style that doesn't really get rewarded much by the judges now. You know, a lot of back takes, and unless she's holding them the whole round, she's generally getting outstruck, and you know, she gets busted up quite bad on the feet. You know, nose is always busted, bleeding, that sort of stuff. Ducote's showed a lot of striking improvements, but you know, Penne's like crafty. She always seems to find ways to get to the back and things like that. But I think the line's probably about right. I can't see much more value on Ducote here, just on the level of competition and stuff. But yeah, I would favour her to win, but nothing I really like here, to be honest. What about you?
Yeah, more or less agree. I thought I was going to like Ducote before the odds dropped even more. I really liked her on tape, just taping her originally. I remember her from Bellator when she was just constantly losing, but she was like 22, man. It was just throwing her to a Lima, even though Lima is not that great, but I'm giving her a 22-year-old chick, and then, you know, no time to develop. She's quite decent. Now, I like her striking, man. It's just all technical. You don't see that in women's MMA. Technical. I like her disengaging. Just seems to have all the fundamentals good. When someone clinches her up, she disengages well. She's got her own takedowns. She seems to have good takedown defense. But yeah, then as I started, watching her last few fights, she really struggled with Lima in round one, who's just with the length. And even though she had the better striking, Lima was just throwing the 1-2 and it was just cracking her. And Penne actually has bigger reach than Lima. And she won that fight with wrestling, and that's the one thing that I think she can use here. I mean, Penne has absolutely no takedown defense whatsoever. She wants to be on the ground. She's literally flopping. I think Ducote is good enough to survive in her guard. If she's going to win, I think it would just be like that, like a Court McGee, you know, game plan when he takes all the jiu-jitsu fighters down and just sits in their guard on the way to decision. But I mean, I don't know. Like you said, at this price, you know, if she's going to 29, 28 her, and maybe she won't wrestle early, and then, you know, just the way Penne fights, very long and awkward, and as good as Ducote's striking is, I don't know that she has that much power. I mean, yeah, she's knocked out. Danielle Taylor's pretty durable, actually. She's knocked out a few girls, but yeah, I can just see a sweat ensuing with Penne, just, you know, throwing her long ass limbs around and trying to grab onto her, and it's just Ducote's just got that really nice, clean style. But you know, if sometimes it's too clean, and you tend to, you know, lose points, and just a more rugged, crazy chick just, you know, jumps on her back once. Yeah, just not worth it for me. I liked her initially, but then upon tape, it's like, how much value is there? I do favor her though, but yeah, just pass for now.
I hate betting against the back take merchants.
Yeah. I mean, how good is Jessica Penne, you know, compared to others like Algeo and all that? But yeah, I just, too many questions, too many, you know, better potential fights on the card. I don't know if this is one of them though. Dwight Grant Stoltzfus. What do you got here?
Yeah, I like Stoltzfus. I got an earlier line. I got like a plus 155 on Stoltzfus, which I was happy with.
What's that in decimals? Just for the noobs like me.
255.
Jesus. It's very early.
Yeah. Man, there's not too many people I won't fade as an underdog against Dwight Grant. Super old, no volume, bad cardio. He's basically just a right hand. He really doesn't have anything much else that he can threaten with consistently. Grappling's not great from what we've seen. So yeah, I just like Stoltzfus here, natural middleweight. He's reliable to grapple even when he shouldn't, like against GM3. But here, you're perfectly happy for him to grapple in this fight. Southpaw, Dwight Grant. I think he's fought almost all southpaws in the UFC though. And then I just expect him to be able to engage the grappling here. Dwight Grant will probably gas. Stoltzfus probably gas too. He always slows down, but he's probably a bit more functional when he's tired. Will throw more reliable volume and is more likely to end up on top. So yeah, I just saw no reason to not fade Dwight Grant at that line. It probably devolves into like a real ugly, shitty fight. But I struggle to see how Dwight Grant's winning a decision, and I struggle to see how he wins the fight if he's not getting a knockout early-ish. Maybe he catches him late, but he does gas pretty bad, and he's only getting older, going up a weight class. His last fight wasn't that long ago, and that's a pretty big jump, 15 pounds from welter to middleweight. So I don't think that's really enough time to, turn yourself into a proper middleweight. He's just going to be carrying that extra weight, and I don't think that's doing his cardio any more favors. So yeah, I mean, even still at slight dog money, I'd probably be interested in Stoltzfus, to be honest. And yeah, by decision, good price as well. He could submit him, but I don't know. Stoltzfus kind of slows down, and I feel like he might end up just hanging on to top position. He might not have the cardio or the juice late to really push for a finish. So that's like a little prop that I don't mind either. What about you?
Yeah, I taped his first. I've been hearing a lot of people on Stoltzfus. Let's have a look at it. I've got 235. I don't know. A couple of fights in, I was like, I don't know how much I like it. Straight away I'm seeing how I thought that I remember taping him for Contender, and it was just hard to get a read on the guy. Just like is he a grappler? Is he a striker? Like, he's got a lot of knockouts. He's got a twister and stuff. So I'm like, maybe he's a jiu-jitsu guy, And then every fight in the UFC is just, you can't really tell what his game is. Like you said, he's grappling with Rodolfo Vieira. He's grappling with that Dorcas fight was weird. It's like, what happened to his cardio? And then you just see, against Vieira, against GM3, he just slowed down nice and early. And the first thing that stuck out is how plodding, how slow, and how hittable he is. And it's just, look, if anyone's going to knock you out, if anyone's going to get knocked out, it's going to be Stoltzfus, against Grant. Even though Grant doesn't throw, he will throw if you pressure him. And Stoltzfus just kind of seems like a very aggressive, forcing the brawl, forcing the takedowns. The good thing is he probably will shoot. Look, I still have the bet on, but as the time goes on, I'll probably cash it out. Like, I have a few dogs this week, a few more dogs that I actually like quite a bit more than Stoltzfus. It's just I don't like banking on dogs that to me are not very trustworthy. If I had your line, yeah, probably keep it. To be honest, it's just questions about Grant coming up. He's very gassy. I do like his takedown defense and explosion of how hard he is to hold down early. But obviously, if Stoltzfus keeps going for it, obviously that's when he's going to get success. Later in the rounds when Grant gasses as well. But then I don't know about the move up to middleweight. Like, I always have this question. Sometimes they look better because they're draining. Sometimes they look exactly the same, or even worse because they're actually better at the lower weight class. It's just all these questions, and the way I bet, I try to avoid that shit. I know I always break my rules, but yeah, this one I don't really feel confident. I think as Grant gasses, Stoltzfus is going to gas as well because they're both gassy, and it's just I'm wary of the massive athleticism and power and speed advantage of Grant early, and Stoltzfus just plodding into range. But yeah, if he was a bigger dog, then yes, I would be inclined to take it, like your line, for example. But at the moment, he's just a bit of a red flag shit show fight that's just scaring me off. And I don't know what the situation with live betting in Europe is. I'm still using the Australian Bet365. So I don't know if it's Australian. Do I still need to call up in Australia and make my it's weird. I don't know. I was hoping it would just be like European odds and stuff. So ideally, I'll probably just live bet it. But yeah, pass fight for me. I like a few other fights better. Alrighty. Oh, here we go. This is the main event for sure. The people's main event. Interesting. Very interested to hear your take on Jacoby and Jung.
Yeah, interesting line movement. I thought like before it flipped, so well, pretty much the opposite of where it is now, was like close to right. Personally, for me, Jacoby's probably like minus 150 here. So when he went dog, I had to bet him, so I took that dog money that he's at now, $2.12, I think I got. For me, I just think Dan Jung just has no answers for him at range. You know, Dan Jung's 2 UFC wins are against Slow Mike and Kennedy, who are both guys with no footwork at all, who are just going to stand like a statue in front of you and be hit. He was outstruck at range by Sam Alvey and Kadis Ibragimov. Jacoby, like, I think he's probably a bit overrated, to be fair. He's also beat up on some pretty like low-level competition. But just the stylistic matchup, I think, is going to be real tough for Jung. He's going to really struggle with Jacoby's footwork, I think, trying to get hold of a guy who won't stand still. Jung's also super low kickable with his boxing stance. Jung probably has the better hands, but I just don't think he's going to be able to get it in the boxing range and like force those exchanges to the degree that he needs to win the fight. He's probably got the finish upside. He seems to hit fairly hard. And like Jacoby's randomly looked like a little bit wilty a couple times in the octagon, but man, at dog money, I think Jacoby's a good bet. I would favor him to win the fight outright, probably by decision, unless we get like a weird leg kick finish or anything. Jung's got that Korean chin, so I think it'll be pretty hard for Jacoby to put him away with head strikes. But yeah, I just expect Jacoby to be able to stick a move, outland him, dance around the outside, just, you know, land a bunch of volume in the big octagon and probably cruise to a decision. Like 29-28 kind of thing wouldn't, you know, shock me, because Jacoby's kind of slowed down a little bit in a couple of his fights. But yeah, at dog money, I'm perfectly happy to take the shot here.
Yeah, it's very interesting, man. I don't know. Usually it's an injury or something like that, but it's weird because I see sharps on both ends of the spectrum, right? Like max bet Jacoby at a favorite line, and then obviously max bet on Jung, which is completely changing the line, flipping it, and how those sharps are just doubling down back on Jacoby. So this is like probably the most split fight I've seen since I joined, you know, Twitter and social media. I just don't understand it. It's crazy how people can be just. And I actually do understand it because I taped it and I can't get a proper lean. I don't get it.
It's binary. Like, it's the kind of fight where whoever wins afterwards, you're going to be like, of course, you know, like Jung was just going to walk him down and put hands on him, or Jacoby was just, you know, going to dance around and put volume on him.
But that's the thing. And it's I don't know which one it's like, I don't know if the word binary is for it, because we know exactly how it's going to go. You know, it's pretty straightforward, but you just can't decide. And I think it's just the line movement that's scaring people. I taped it when it was, you know, when Jacoby was still a slight favorite, and I wanted to play it. Because I thought, but then in the end, I just settled on, you know, that line being accurate. Jacoby should be a slight favorite. I can understand, you know, that Max and Griffin fight scaring people, and I was on him big there, and honestly, I thought I got a bit lucky there. But gets countered a couple of times while throwing a kick and gets dropped, and you know, if that doesn't happen, it's just like, it's kind of like a moment winner. Like Grisham was a big moment winner in that fight 2 times in 2 different rounds, and he almost stole it. But it's just overall, as an overall fight, you know, once Jacoby got his game going, the leg kick, the movement, you know, he's durable. You can take him down, but he'll get up. He just gets back to his game, and I like that about him. It's even against Kutalaba, you know, got 10-8 at first, and then good cardio. It's just good game IQ. It's what you want, and I think Jung doesn't have the same IQ. Either that, or he really insists on being hittable and flat-footed and starting slow. Maybe that's part of his IQ, right? I don't know, but it's just he pressures, but his pressure is like Homer Simpson, right? He hits a lot of hits, and Sam Ali was just tagging him up, leg kicking him, even with an inside leg kick, right? So yeah, just pressure, and obviously if he's going to pressure, I can see Jacoby just styling on him early. I don't like also how Jacoby has his hands low, and you know, a lot of it is just banking on countering and kind of catching the punch, but that's obviously didn't work for him against Grisham, who's got the same bigger reach, and he was much bigger, and he probably didn't account for such long punches or catching by surprise. I think Jung can do the same, but then again, Jung is a lot more boxing oriented and flat-footed, so he, you know, might be easier for him to handle that. I just think Yeah, man, it's just keep going back and forth on it. The big cage as well. I just have to go back to trusting Jacoby, man. It's just there's things that you trust about him, the volume, the output, the calf kick. I think, yeah, I don't have the dog odds yet. I'm so behind. I just smashed Jung at $2.10 because I heard everyone's like, oh, the lines flipped. I smashed them and now the lines flipped, so I can kind of hedge a bit. But I think I'm just going to wait till it's 212 like for you. And I have to hit Jacoby. It could also be that last fight against Omielanchik. Like I wanted to fade him there, but it's just like, yeah, Omielanchik might hurt him. But then Jacoby's going to get his game going in round 2 and 3, right? Which he did. Even injured, completely injured. So it's just, yeah. I think I have to. I think you're right. They're both these guys are overrated. It's a bit weird fight. You know, Jacoby never puts a stamp on fights. It's always like calf kick and jab. You know, yeah, he knocked out a bum, Darren Stewart. But other than, you know, John Allan is a bum, and you know, he's fought a lot of bums, and he just does the bare minimum. And then if Jung just bites down and starts pressuring him, he's not going to knock Jung out. So he's just like, you got some sweaty moments, but. Honestly, I think pick 'em. Maybe I was wrong about Jacoby slight favorite. Maybe pick 'em, maybe slight favorite. But yeah, I agree with everything you said, man. Just a tough fight. I'm either gonna pass or I'll chuck a little bit on Jacoby as a slight underdog because I think that's a bit off. You know, I think it might be just some people on Twitter just completely swaying the public. And it's also interesting. There's no interviews. I haven't seen any interviews from Jacoby, so I'm looking out for that. Maybe he says something and. You know,
as long as he's not injured again.
That's the thing. I mean, we know that he likes to fight with an injury. An injury that prevents him from throwing calf kicks, which is the best weapon. So maybe that's what it is. You know, that doesn't fill people with confidence. But who knows, man? At the moment, I've got nothing. But if the line keeps going in Jung's favor, I'm gonna just have to hit Jacoby. He's such a good minute winner compared to Jung. You know. Good discussion on that one. Let's move on. Bill Algeo Burns. I'll go first on this. Completely had an opinion on it before tape, which is seems to be everyone's opinion, right? Like he's gonna Algeo's the side. Burns is a 1-round fighter. He's gassy, etc., etc. But then retaping Burns, man, I'm just like, wow, this guy's jiu-jitsu is elite. Like it's good jiu-jitsu, but it's just. The things that he gets, it's so smooth. The triangles, the back takes, running through Evan Dunham like that. Jesus, that was. I always rated Evan Dunham's jiu-jitsu, and as soon as he got the back, it was over. There was no hunting the neck. There was no battle. You know, fighting the hands. It was just he had a plan just to go straight to, and he just instantly finished it. And it's an easy dog or pass for me, man. I mean, you look at Algeo, Brito, Spike Carlisle. Lemos absolutely 10-8'd him in the third. And the other Ricardo Ramos, actually. So I'm talking about Ricardo Ramos and...
Ramos or Ramos?
Ricardo Ramos. Jesus Christ, it's a bit of a tongue twister. I confused myself there. Both dominated him. Like, Ramos was absolutely dead on the feet, and he was just getting pieced up because Algeo's got those, you know, good intangibles, the cardio, the output. He mixes it up well, never stops moving. But even a gas Ramos, just so easy to get his back and just slam him down. And I just can't. Yes, it's one of those bets I will lose, most likely if he gets out of round 1. And yes, Algeo's defense is so good, submission defense, I rate it quite well. So he most likely does get out of round 1. It's probably most likely all downhill from me there. But I don't know, someone that's so good at giving up his back. And I think this is the best fighter he's fought in terms of being lethal from the back. And with his submissions, he's a bit flaky. He's a bit over aggressive. But even in that round fight where he was injured against Pineda, he looked like he was completely done. He was just eating ground and pound for 5 minutes, and he came out and he got a punch. He punched him and he cut him open and he took him down. He's still got it in, you know. He's still got some juice in the tank, and I'm not going to say that's how he looks every single time because I've taped his whole career, and he has a lot of decisions, and even the decision losses to the Russians in ONE FC, and both of them actually. One of them was Kabulaev from PFL, absolute animal. He didn't look that tired. He just couldn't submit, the Dagestani wrestlers. And Algeo is someone that's going to keep giving his back. I mean, he kept getting taken down by an absolutely dead Spike Carlisle in round 3. I mean, no one is gassier than Spike Carlisle. So it's just, I'm going to have to take a half-unit shot. I feel like it's a very high clip that Burns can take him down and get his back. I mean, everyone's done it, literally everyone, right? So I have to take a stab. If he gets out of round one, I think there's a slim possibility that Burns can still win a decision. Just a lot more aggressive. Algeo slows down as well. He's hittable, right? I tried to fade him against Brito. I'm very annoyed that Brito kept trying to grapple. He was absolutely lighting him up on the feet and just kept getting reversed and lost the decision that way. But yeah, I think you watch the tape and he's just glaring red holes. You have to take Burns. I'm taking a half unit stab, and if I don't have live, it would have been good if I had live bet. I could hedge it, but whatever. Take a stab. I'm not going to play finish because I do believe deep down there's a slight possibility Burns can win a decision, a grappling-based decision, even when he slows down. What do you got?
Yeah, I got on Algeo early, got like -140. I hadn't done any tape. I was just in my head, kind of that same angle of Burns being like a round one sub buff guy. Got around to doing the tape, and yeah, definitely not liking it as much. I think the current line's pretty out of hand. I'm probably just gonna arb it off, look for a live bet or something instead. Because yeah, I think early Burns, he gives himself, a chance to sort of maximize his path to victory. He's going to come out there. He's going to push the grappling. He's probably going to end up taking the back at some point in the first round, I would think. And yeah, Algeo is just too loose, too untrustworthy in those positions. And Burns is a better finisher than these other guys that he's been sort of letting get to his back. I do favour Algeo down the stretch. I think he's just a bit more functional when he's tired, and I don't like Burns' takedowns. Like, I don't think they're very, replicable. He kind of relies on, bum rushing guys a bit early and just sort of running them over and stuff once they're both tired, and they sort of end up clinching against the cage. I'm not sure he's got, the wrestling process to, get Bill down consistently. But then again, they might just end up grappling on the cage the whole time. So, yeah, I'm probably going to bail on this Bill line that I got, take the tiny little guaranteed profit and just look for a live bet instead. Because, yeah, Burns could get the back and sub him. Burns could win on 2 rounds of body triangle or something like that. Or it could just be a messy as back and forth grappling fight. Because one thing that stood out to me from tape is that Bill just can't keep guys off him. He's too noodly. So against guys who just want to keep crashing forward and clinching with him, he can't really do much. He'll throw straight punches and teeps and stuff. They just got nothing on them. And dudes will just kind of crash through his strikes into the clinch again. So, yeah, agree with most of what you said. I think this current line's a bit crazy. It's definitely dog or pass pre-fight because Burns probably has a pretty good shot at winning round one, if not getting the finish.
Yeah, very nice, man. Very nice. Let's move on. Simone, Jack Shaw, what do you got?
I like Ricky, man. This line doesn't make much sense to me. I like Jack Shaw as a fighter. I originally thought he was a bit overrated. Thought he was just kind of beating up on Euros who can't wrestle, but he's proven at a UFC level that his game is pretty functional. He's legit, he's got really good fundamentals, good boxing, low kicks, really functional MMA grappling. I like everything that he does. But yeah, he's sitting around, he's over 60% implied here to win against Ricky. Who's just a really brutal style matchup for him, I feel. Ricky's going to have a big physicality edge, which I think is going to be pretty telling because we saw Shaw kind of run into issues with that against Azure. I think Ricky really is just a more refined, better version of Hunter Azure. He's got better boxing, more reliable volume, probably a bit of a better wrestler, but a way more functional MMA grappler. He's kind of got that jiu-jitsu game to go with the wrestling, better cardio as well than Hunter. So yeah, I do expect a competitive fight here, but for me, Simone sitting at plus 140-ish just feels way off to me. So I'm on Simone for multiple units here. I just think that, yeah, he can probably play the bully a bit, and we've seen Shaw not look great when he's been forced to back up and he can't dictate. I think if Shaw's trying to shoot on Ricky, he's probably not having much success. He's probably getting peeled up, turned, and perhaps taking down himself and ending up on bottom like we saw against Azure. So yeah, just feels a bit off to me. I'd say this should be a dead pick'em, or I could even get to Ricky being a -120 favorite. So yeah, just seems off to me. Simone's probably my favorite play for the card, to be honest. What about you?
Yeah, man, on the same page actually. It's funny, all the plays that I like, the line's just not going anywhere. 0.03 cents of Simone's line has changed. So but I know a lot of sharps on it. But then all the other lines are just going crazy. Miesha Tate, Jung, they're just like flipping and insane amount of money. But the few players I actually like, they're just not moving. So it's either we're the idiots, or the public is all going to cash in big, or we're going to be the only ones that are going to make money this week. Everything that's getting steamed is going to be wrong, and we'll find out. I like to trust myself more often than not. But yeah, man, I was in Europe. I'm a bit off with my taping. It's just hard to be in your little zone and whatnot when it's 40 degrees outside. But this was the first fight that I actually taped, and I was like, yeah, I like this. This is a good dog play right here. And this was like a few fights in, and then the more I taped, I was a bit nervous. I was gonna not like it as much when I taped Shaw Valiev, because I thought from memory that I played him there as a big dog right before the line narrowed. And I thought, okay, I'm going to see something that's going to be like, okay, no, he's made a lot of improvements, and Valiev is really a really high-level fighter. But, I mean, he has a lot of holes. Valiev has a lot of holes. He's the chinny, he's gassy, he's flaky.
He can't box, only kicks.
Yeah, that's it. There's no boxing. And literally, Simone is the complete opposite, right? He's a grinding wrestler with cardio for days, and he's literally going to fight for your money. There's no flakiness in him whatsoever, right? So like you said about the physicality, like taping Shaw, for the first time when he was coming into the UFC, he's always had problems with physicality, right? His fundamentals are on point, technique, the jab, the distance management. His takedowns in the center are a bit how you're going, not the best, but he's so good at catching kicks and, opportunistic takedowns. And then his cage wrestling is amazing. He struggled with Azor, but as soon as he got him against the cage, high crutched him. Got to the back, good back taker. Just technique this is kind of like a technique versus, grit, athleticism. Simone hits a lot harder, a lot more explosive. This is just, the way I see this is like, this is Shaw's, all his weaknesses in like one fighter. Now he's fighting this aggressive, durable, American wrestler or Hawaiian wrestler. Just doesn't stop, man. He doesn't stop. And he's improving, right? I didn't realize that Simone was 29 years old. He's coming into his prime. I thought he might have a bit of a sweat against an ancient Asukawa. Just ran through him, man. Like he's always hit hard. He wobbled Uriah Faber before Beltran decided to cash that bet in, with his extremely early stoppage. He always cracks hard and he's fast. And a lot of the fighters the Shaw is fighting, they slow down in the third, right? Azur slowed down in the third. Valiev absolutely fell apart in the third. Right, Simone's going to be there. He's going to be there for 3 rounds. He's just never-ending wrestling and aggression. And yes, I can see why Shaw is the slight favorite. I mean, beating Valiev it's going to give him that hype. And also, he is the more technical fighter. He might be the smarter fighter. His striking is a lot more, 1-2s, leg kicks. He's a lot more defensively solid. Whereas, I've had some questions about Simone's chin in the past. It can be quite reckless, quite hittable. He got busted up by, Rani Yaha and, Rob Font kind of pieced him up. I think someone like Rob Font is a lot even better fighter, Jack Shaw, more athletic, better wrestling. And his chin was fine. He wobbled, he's taking Font down. I just think this is going to be a gritty, grueling fight. And it's just so many things, man. I like so many things. I think he might start getting pieced up, 1-2s. Leg kicked, but as soon as he bites down, I hope he bites down and fights very aggressively, because that's what's going to win him this fight. And we've seen Azor, he can take Azor down, but Azor will reverse him because just on athleticism alone, right? So I just think, a lot of back and forth. If Simone bites down on the mouthpiece, as long as he doesn't get dropped, with his chin, if his chin doesn't come back, doesn't get dropped with a 1-2 or like Valiev did, I think we have a very grindy, back and forth fight, and I think Shaw is going to struggle with a lot of the athleticism and advantages that Simone has. And he's always, he uses wrestling so good, man. Like things are not going his way, and Simone can take anyone down in the division, right? That absolutely wrestled like Montel Jackson back in the day. I was so impressed by that. He put up a fight, but he just kept coming and eventually just broke him. Yeah, I think this is. At worst case, I pick him. At worst case, I pick him. Azor was a pick him. Valiev was a pick him, right? Oh, he was a bit of a favorite. And now all of a sudden, Shaw's a massive favorite against the hardest opponent he's fighting in the UFC, right? So this is an easy play for me. I've got a unit. Yeah, I know that's nothing, but for me, that's a lot. Usually, I put in like half units on dogs that I'm not sure about. I've got a few of those today. This one, man, it's going to be at least a unit, and I might add some more, on the decision. I'm kind of, for a dog, it's been a while since I've been this confident in a dog, so if this one fucks me, you can come back and make fun of me in the comment section, but I just have that feeling on this one, Even if it loses, it's going to be a close fight. It's going to be 29-28, worst case, if not a split decision, so that's my thoughts. Alrighty. Speaking of confident fights, Soriano Dalcha, you got anything on here?
Yeah, just small on Dalcha, just because Puna's not covering -240 here. I mean, it's a mirror match in a lot of regards, right? Just two kind of power strikers who don't have, who have a bit of a grappling background, different arts. I guess we start with the Puna side, I just dislike him a lot as a fighter. He's got serious physical gifts. He's very explosive and very powerful, but that's almost to his detriment because he's just absolutely in love with his power. The guy just loads up huge left hands and just swings for the home run every time. No coherent setup. Swings himself completely out of position, and he's usually gassed for 7 minutes because he's trying to kill a elephant with his hands when he's in the octagon. He strikes me as a dumb fighter, He just expects the guy's going to stand there and let him hit him with a full power every time. So Puna -240 for me is just completely out of the question. It's a clear dog or pass. He can wrestle as well, but I don't trust him to wrestle offensively. Dalcha's got pretty decent first layer and hips and stuff. And I don't know if Puna's got the top game to sort of consistently hold him down. On the Dalcha side, pretty similar, very stiff guy, same thing, just loads up big power shots. So to me, I see the stand-up as evenly matched. I mean, you might give a bit of an edge to Puna, but again, I'm just not high on him at all. The cardio dynamic's a bit weird. Puna's gassy, so is Dalcha. Dalcha in the Barrio fight actually showed some pretty good cardio, I thought. He dumped his tank versus Brundage going for the finish. So, I mean, I think it just depends who gasses first here, to be honest. So, and I think Dalcha might be a bit more likely to cage control, just pushing Puna up against the cage or something. So, +205, take a little bit, why not? I think, overs and goes the distances here aren't too bad either, because to be honest, unless one of them lands one of those huge naked bombs with no setup early, I think they likely do just gas out and it becomes a shitty, sloppy fight. So this goes the distance out there at +180, which I don't think is too bad, to be honest. They're both just very incoherent finishes unless they can just hit a random nuke. And I don't see either having a massive grappling edge. And they're both fairly low volume as well. So yeah, I expect a pretty crap fight, if I'm honest. It might be one round while doing 2 rounds of gas swinging and leaning on each other on the cage. But for me, it's just a play on principle, Dalcha +200 or better. That's just an auto bet for me because I'm just not high on Puna. I think he's a very green, very inexperienced, very immature fighter who does not have many great ideas outside of swinging the big left hand. So yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I've been trying to fade just fight in general. Some Dalchas in him. If I can't fade Dalcha, I'll just fade the fight. I don't play Dalcha. Just the way he fights, man, is just. I faded him against Ankalaev, and I tried to fade him against Marcus Perez. It's stupid, but if that guy just did drop down for Kimura, he just wins that fight as a dog as well. Because Dalcha he's so scared of getting. He's always on the back foot. Waits till you pressure him, and then he just starts swinging like an absolute maniac. Most of his takedowns are just explosive takedowns or judo throws, which I don't see any of that working on Puna. Look, end of that probably just I've seen him, even while gassed, actually go and win a decision against Piquet, wrestle late, and seen him go 3 rounds and still throw against Allen, which, I mean, that fight's aged horrendously now. I also don't know how he didn't knock out Allen, right? Everyone's hurting and dropping Allen, and then all of a sudden Puna's landing bombs and Allen's just smiling at him. It's just MMA is weird sometimes. I just can't. I thought about hitting Dalcha as a dog. I missed that early line, but it's just how does he win? I can't. just backing up and waiting for Puna to come at him and then just countering him. I don't know. I can see if anyone's going to get takedowns, I can see Puna getting takedowns. I've seen Dalcha on his back on the regionals against Stuart Austin, an absolute bum. And it just looked like he was going to get finished. He was getting dominated. Couldn't get up against Ankalaev. It's just, Soriano's got the better wrestling. If he takes him down, I think Dalcha's just going to sit down and just wait the round out. I thought about the under. Both can crack. But then Puna's got that Hawaiian chin, and I don't know if he's going to come out a bit more patient, or if we're going to see the old Puna. Like with these, like you said, like these green fighters, they don't have their game plan yet, and we don't know when they're going to come out patient or when they're going to come out brawling again, like going back to their old ways. Just easy fade this fight. I do favor Puna, but I thought about the KO or decision, playing $1.60. He's got that chance of running through Dalcha in the first round and looking like hindsight massive favorite. But I got a bad feeling about it. If he runs through him, so be it. I'll let someone else cash on it. I'll pass. All right, this is your favorite fight. We've got Lauren Murphy, Miesha Tate. What do you got?
Lauren Murphy all day. I got a bit of a soft spot for Lauren Murphy. She's been a bit of a money train. It looks like she's starting to take some action just at Bet Online. But man, Miesha's sitting like north of -200 at like most other books was just crazy to me. I mean, unless you think that she's just going out there and like blasting Lauren off her feet with takedowns, then I'm not sure how she covers that price. Standing, I think Lauren's better. It's going to be ugly. They both suck at striking. Let's be real. But I'll probably slightly edge Lauren because she's willing just to push forward and throw in the clinch. I think Lauren's actually a lot better. But if Lauren ends up on her back, that's probably the way that Miesha's able to cover this price tag. But again, I don't like Miesha dropping down here either. Kind of similar to Dwight Grant, like these people who like change weight class late in their career. They kind of think that's going to be like the catalyst to revive their career, and rarely is that the case. Like the weight class is very rarely the issue, and like for Miesha, her weight class is not her issue, but you can kind of see the thinking, right? She's gotten in there a couple times, failed to get takedowns, and she must just be like, oh, they're too big, they're too strong, that's why I can't take them down and I'm losing. So she's dropping down flyweight here, but I just don't think it's the case. Like Lauren Murphy is a very strong flyweight, and unless Miesha can get her off her feet, like in the center of the cage out in the open, she's likely going to end up having to drive the defense. And I think she's going to struggle to get Lauren Murphy down there. And Lauren Murphy's, she's strong. She's using underhooks. She's good at pulling girls up into the clinch, where she does some pretty good work. She's got like good knees to the body and good dirty boxing. She can hit on the break. She's got pretty good cardio as well. So for me, it was an easy bet, like +170, +180. If Miesha goes out there, hits takedowns and puts her on her back and she can't get up, then it is what it is. But for me, it's two older women fighting, and I think Murphy probably has a bit of an edge everywhere, unless she ends up on her back, to be honest. For me, the weight class thing is just a huge fade as well. So, pretty straightforward bet for me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's quite clearly dog or pass. I just don't know if I can get there. I know Murphy's been getting all these wins, but it just feels like one of those fights where I'm on the right side, and then Miesha's wrestling is always like, shit entry, crap entry, and then she has one good entry and gets a takedown because she's just a bit of a dog. She doesn't stop. She was getting stuffed by Marion Renault, of all people, who has minus takedown defense. But then once she got it going, then she kind of took over. But that was a retiring Renault. She kind of did look ripped in that fight. So I'm a firm believer that some people do come back to get their motivation back. It's kind of like Jose Aldo going down to bantamweight. His twilight years, and he's looking like an absolute animal and never missed weight. I think Miesha, 125 could be completely fine for her. She just found that new diet and new passion and discipline. But again, we don't know that. I'm just speculating here. And then she is fighting someone that's also a dog herself. So there is no quit in Lauren Murphy. I just taped it this morning, and I kind of like what I seen from Murphy in terms of wrestling up. Like, she can be taken down. It's not easy to take her down, but she does wrestle up a lot. Romero took her down. She got straight back up. I think someone like Sajah Eubanks is much has much better wrestling, especially her double leg, especially her explosiveness. I think Sajara Eubanks has the best wrestling in round one out of all the girls. When she gets her hands locked, you're going for a ride, and that was even a bantamweight. So yeah, I guess you're right. He's just, I'm not bringing with confidence. If I do play Lauren Murphy, he's just
she's a fighter it's hard to be confident about for most people. You put your money on Lauren Murphy, I like it though.
Eye test, if you're going by the eye test, I think that's why she's always a dog, and that's why everyone's always fading her. But the intangibles are always there. Yeah, the 1-2, the grittiness, the cardio, the takedown defense.
Imagine if she had like a smidge of athleticism. She'd be a fucking good fighter.
She would, man.
She's just loves all hell.
Yeah, she's a good fighter right now. But yeah, the athleticism, she's kind of rickety, and the only time she does get taken down is when someone out, has a good reactive double, and she just can't do anything about it because she's just so stiff. But if you have a bad entry, like Miesha Tate has bad entries all the time.
Miesha's shot is terrible. She's like fucking looking at the ground, back arched. She can't set it up because she's got no striking. Her shot's awful. Yeah,
she's going to dig the underhooks and she's going to stuff that all day long. And then in the stand-up, I think it's 50-50. Like you said, both bad. Both are willing to... Miesha Tate will bite her teeth and throw. She did quite good at hitting Vieira a few times when she was losing. She knew she needed to go for it. And she was getting busted up too. She's not scared of punishment. Whereas Lauren Murphy has the nice 1-2. She's a bit more straightforward and seems to have decent power as well. Yeah, it's easy dog or pass. I don't know anyone advocating for a worse than -200 play on Miesha Tate. I'm even surprised that the line got destroyed like that. That's what I mean. All these random fights that I can't get a read on, they're just getting destroyed, and my two confident players are just staying. The line's not moving. But yeah, dog or pass. I've got to do some more tape, but maybe I sprinkle a little bit Lauren Murphy decision, and just see how my night's going. I guess if Simone wins, they'll probably feel me with a bit more confidence to have a play here. But let's move on. All right, I do have a play here. Do you have anything on Shane Burgos Jourdain?
Yeah, I got early line on Burgos. I got a -160. I'm surprised to see it's almost come back to that now. Like, I'm pretty surprised to see the amount of like Jourdain love, I guess, like coming off what was, you don't want to call it can't be a fluke because it's what he meant to do, but whatever you want to call that win against Lando, low percentage or however you want to put it.
He does have a good guillotine though.
Yeah, he does, right? But man, for me, like I think Burgos is just like a stylistic nightmare for Jourdain. Outside the fact of that, Burgos is like willing to take 4 punches to give 1. So the risk of the knockouts there, and we saw it against Barboza, but against Billy Q, he looked all right. Like he did look at maybe a bit off early, but then he kind of like warmed his way into the fight. But man, like when you go back and you watch like the Arosa fight for Jourdain, like if that's what Arosa did to him, like what do you think? Like what do you think Burgos does to him? Burgos probably not as proactive with the grappling, but we just saw that like Jourdain can't handle a big, strong guy who's going to consistently get in the pocket, hit his body, strike in combination, and put his back on the cage. Jourdain, he's a bit limited. It's just the big left hand or the big left kick to the body or the head. I just think in those exchanges, like Burgos's combinations are just going to be like the better work. He goes to the body really well. Jourdain's pretty gassy. We've seen him gas out multiple times in the UFC, and if Burgos randomly decides he wants to use his grappling, like I think that's an easy path for him there against Jourdain as well. So for me, I thought like the -200-ish on Burgos was more accurate. So yeah, it's gone back to like -165 in some places. So his chin could get cracked. It's always the risk with him. He's pretty defensively void, but he's reliable to push forward through a shit ton of volume. He's fucking huge for featherweight. He's got gas for days. He hits the body, and these are all things that like have given Jourdain issues historically. So yeah, I expect Shane to just get his game going and take over and find a late stoppage, or maybe just a 29-28 sort of decision thing would be like worst case scenario win for him if Jourdain's able to somehow steal the first round.
Yeah, I pretty much agree, man. I think he's just a bit lazy capping, thinking that Burgos is hittable, Jourdain's going to hit him, split decision fight. But that's people saying that about Billy Quarantillo as well. And once you actually tape it, man, it's just like, wow, I don't think I actually got the double chance line there. It was almost pick him. You remember you told me on Burgos, you're like, man, that's a 2-unit play right there. Pick him. He went from like these exact odds to pick him for a KO or decision on Burgos, and I'm like, I'm playing that. And me being a pussy, I only had one unit. But it's just like, yeah, he is hittable, but he rolls with punches.
Yeah, good eyes.
Yeah, that Josh Emmett fight, he got dropped a shit ton of times, but how many times did he get hit? Like he got hit 100 times, got dropped 3 times, and in the end the jab dropped him. All the overhands, he was just rolling with him. And then you take Billy Quarantillo, and like a guy that throws his punches and loads up like this, that are nowhere near someone like Emmett or Barboza, they're not even going to hurt him. And he didn't even get hurt once. He had a couple. He had one big one that the commentators reacted on because his head went back, but he rolled with it at the exact same time. So it's like, yeah, you can throw haymakers at Burgos all you want, but the durability is insane. He because his hands are low and he's watching all the time and he's got head movement. He rolls with them, and then he's just going to slip and rip, right? He's going to slip and rip, and like you said, I hate, like using fights as, this fight happened, so this is going to happen again. But it just kind of really seems like whatever happened in the Erosa fight is going to happen here, because it's the same style. It's just the pressure, massive guys with massive reach. They're going to slip and rip, right? Plus, on the other hand, Erosa had a lot worse chin, and took him about midway through round 2 to finally get dropped. He just kept dodging the punches, and the ones that hit didn't drop him. So yeah, he might hit Burgos here, but he's just got a 6-inch reach advantage, man. I think Jourdain is quite small. You can see he's small. I don't know if he maybe can't cut weight, maybe just his body.
He should be a bantamweight. He's a very small featherweight.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it. Maybe some people just have that body where they always look small no matter what. Like Lombard and whatnot. But yeah, he's just small. The reach disadvantage. He hates pressure. He shells up and covers up. That's why he couldn't get anything off against Erosa, because Erosa just kept coming forward, and it looked like he was melting from the beginning of that fight. And that's all Burgos does, man. Just pressure, calf kicks, body shots.
Yeah. Man, if you shell up against Burgos, he's just gonna start picking you apart.
Yeah. I remember he does have some problems with sometimes he get into the habit of constantly head moving and throwing jabs and calf kicks instead of just sitting down on punches and finishing his opponents. I did, after that Charles Rose fight, where it looked like it was going to be a split decision before he knocked him out, I did try to fade him a few times. Obviously fed him against Qatar, fed him against Emmett. But it's like, that could happen here. I can see him, just completely pressuring Jourdain and picking him apart. And then Jourdain lands one punch, a big one. Because all he does is he just throws hard, like you said. He just throw hard left hand, hard kicks. If you're just doing that and Burgos get into the habit of just head moving and blocking it and, pondering to the crowd, I'm not feeling any of this. This is not hurting me. And he's just like letting minutes tick away. I could see that being close. And then, maybe 1 or 2 punches that drop him. But, Billy Quarantillo did the same thing. And round 1 was close. Yeah, he lost it. Round 2s and 3s weren't close. He absolutely kicked the shit out of him. And, Billy Quarantillo has a lot better durability, a lot better cardio. He's a bigger guy. I just think it's the same thing here, right? He's going to be pressuring and the size and the technique. And he does clinch occasionally. Burgos does clinch. He was clinching Cub Swanson a lot. He clinched Billy Quarantillo a few times. He will go for it. And, if he clinches Jourdain, he won't be hard to hold up against the cage or take him down. So, yeah, I've got another KO decision prop on Burgos. And believe it or not, it's paying exactly the same as the Quarantillo fight. So the Quarantillo fight was the same odds, and the decision or KO are the same odds, and this fight is exactly the same. So I've hit it for a unit bucket. It's pretty much pick 'em. It's pretty much what people think this fight should be lined up, the people that are hammering Jourdain. All right, so I've got decent odds. If he goes to a split decision, I don't think he will. I think worst case he'll be 29-28 to Shane Burgos after he drops a round, with maybe a slow start or being a bit cautious. So yeah, got a unit on that. I think it comes down to just Burgos is a level above. Burgos is a level above. Look at the opponents fighting, Barboza, Emmett. And if Emmett wasn't such an animal, he looked like he was rounding Emmett too. And thankfully Emmett could get a big moment to steal that round. Yes, can Jourdain do that? I just think he's not on the same level in terms of power, explosiveness. Right, and Emmett can counter. Emmett was ducking and weaving and throwing overhands over his jab. Charles is just going to shell up, man. He's just going to shell up. So we seem to be on the same page here. All right. Matt Schnell, Su Day.
Yeah, not particularly. It's like it's a case of like a fighter who you're like, don't really want to believe in like never betting a fight or blacklisting. Just you got to give me a big enough price, but I don't know what price I would need here to bet Matt Schnell. Like especially after that Roy Vale fight, man, that was just terrible. On paper, you know, he's got some tools that could help let him compete in this fight. Like he's got decent volume, his striking's all right, his jiu-jitsu's all right, which is like the big question mark for Su. But then on the flip side, he's chinny, he gets hurt, dropped just about every fight. He doesn't grapple proactively, doesn't really have good wrestling or offensive takedowns. Big cage, Su's going to be able to move around a lot on the outside. And Schnell's just an idiot. Like, I just can't trust the guy. So, I mean, maybe if he looks good, you can live bet him, because it probably takes him a little bit to, like, try and get a hold of Su, because he's going to be in that long southpaw game. But pre-fight, yeah, nothing I really like. Su's too wide. Don't trust him at a -2 ups. Not in the business of laying that kind of juice anyway. Schnell, just so unreliable, could die at any point. So over-unders are kind of not that tempting, because I don't think the tempo will necessarily be that high, because Su doesn't generally have like super high tempo fights. But that straight left hand, you can see it just landing on Schnell, who keeps his head like upright and very stiff. So yeah, pass fight for me. Maybe there's a live bet. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, maybe Schnell randomly comes out wrestling, or maybe Su just looks off and Schnell's getting his volume going. But yeah, no real interest here for me.
Yeah, I have similar sentiments. I thought I was going to be hammering Su, before I got a bit more juiced, because 3-round striking fight. I actually really like Su, man. I think he's got potential. Striking is quite elite. I think he's improving his ground game as well. You saw what he did with Smolka on short notice. Kept getting out of everything that Smolka did to him in round 1, and then we all know Smolka's got insane pressure on top. Eventually got submitted after reverse Smolka and ended up in his guard, and he got armbarred from guard. But he's just to get out of mount, to get out of back control. He was a young kid back then. I think he's making a lot of improvements. He's training in Dagestan with like Russian wrestlers to improve that game. Just his speed, his 1-2, his evasiveness, completely opposite to Schnell, who's got none of that. He does have speed, but he's got speed in the pocket. And with a chin like that, you can't throw combinations in the pocket, because he's going to lose 9 out of 10 times, and he usually does, right? So I was really surprised he didn't get knocked out by someone like Tyson Nam, for example. Right? If he doesn't get cracked, he does have enough. His striking is technical enough, and it's sharp enough to win a decision. I think you can break it down. Most of Schnell's fights, you can just break down to 3 outcomes. He goes to a close round striking fight, he usually wins. He gets finished early, or he gets an early sub off his back, right? Like you said, he doesn't practically grapple. He took Sandoval down twice, then he got knocked out from guard, and he took down Inoue. I really like Inoue. I wonder what that kid's doing. In round 3, but he barely got any control on whatsoever. And back then I just knew Inoue as a good jiu-jitsu fighter, so that's a bit worrying. Like, you can't even hold this skinny Japanese kid down. He attempted it for the sake of attempting, and that went to a close decision. So like I said, I don't trust Schnell to grapple. I don't trust his chin to hold out. Just not because Su hit so hard, but it's just very quick. I think his head's going to be there to be cracked for three rounds. But at these odds, if he doesn't knock him out, we could get a close striking fight. If Schnell does survive, and then it could be a split. And even if Su wins, does he cover the line? Maybe he just beats him up like Sukhum Tat. He just absolutely kicked the shit out of Sukhum Tat for 3 rounds. Maybe he does that, but it's just no value no meat on the bone here. Just in case, you never know. Like, I've seen Schnell go for 1 or 2 takedowns in 5 fights. Maybe this is the fight that he does go for it. I don't think he'll get anything going personally, but there's nothing there enticing me to put money on it and find out. So yeah, I think Su is an easy pick. He's just gonna style on this kid, and it's a bad matchup for Schnell. And hopefully he fights, man. I'm getting sick of Su getting all these cancellations. I want to see the kid fight again.
Yeah, I want that dog money against Cup.
Yeah, that was annoying, man. That was very annoying. Yeah, I didn't feel 100% confident about it, but after that Adeshev fight, he was kind of getting cracked by Adeshev, who's got baby hands. So it's, he's got a combination of giant reach of Cup and then crazy speed. I was like, let's see how he fights against Cup, and then I'll. But yeah, I just want to see him fight, man. It's been years now. So and that fight as well. If he ends up being like the Adeshev fight, Adeshev was tagging him and he dropped Adeshev, but it didn't knock him out. We all know how shitty Adeshev is. So yeah, if it's a close striking decision where he drops Matt Schnell a couple times and maybe his output drops off, yeah, just the easy pass, like you said. Shouldn't be forcing anything here, unless you maybe want to take a stab on Matt Schnell by submission, but I think you might be disappointed there if you do. All right. I finally got another play here. You got anything on Lee Salikhov?
Nah, not pre-fight. I think Lee's the side, but I'm just waiting to live bet because I think Salikhov can probably stick and move for a round. Leach is really weird. Like, sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't. But, I mean, he's generally pretty reliable to come forward and try force the action, force a fight. He's got the output advantage. Like, Salikhov, he's kind of KO reliant unless you're willing to, like, give him a staring match, right? Unless his power kind of scares you off and you just don't have the means to close the distance again. But, Leach isn't going to be scared off. He's going to get in his face and try force a fight. So yeah, Leach definitely the side. I'm just waiting to live bet though, because I think in the big cage, Salikhov might be able to stick and move a little bit for a round. But he's getting pretty old now. Cardio hasn't always been there. Grappling, like, first layer is not bad, but if you get past the first layer, not great. But yeah, I can see Leach taking over and pulling away down the stretch. Yeah, but Leach always liked to get nuked. His defense isn't terrible. But just as a product of his style, he's pretty aggressive and will come forwards. And Salikhov's pretty accurate. He's a bit of a sniper. So I got no issues with people, like, if they want to bet Leach pre-fight, totally get it, totally fine. Personally, I'm just going to wait to live bet it. Just because, yeah, Salikhov might be able to just stick and move a bit early, score on him from the outside. But yeah, I'd expect Leach to come into it and look a lot better than like a plus 140 as the fight goes on. What do you got on this one?
Yeah, I do have a play here on Lee. He definitely, I didn't get the same feeling as I did when I taped Simone. It was kind of like, oh no, I don't like his defense, right? I don't like how his hands are completely low. I don't like how he gets hurt and cracked hard in every single fight he's ever been in, apart from Ponzinibbio, right? Getting wobbled by Dalcha Abe, and I was live in Melbourne for that fight, and it's like, geez, man, this guy's on short notice and doesn't have a career in the UFC, and he's wobbling. You're getting dropped by Zawada. So if you do hit him as a dog, is massive, massive potential here for him to get dropped. I would say pretty high likely, but again, another fight where I play the dog and I see some sharps on the dog and the line's not moving, right? The Lee is just, Simone and Lee just not going anywhere. But it's like, what if he doesn't, let's say, Salikhov doesn't knock him out, and he hasn't knocked out many people. He's knocked out Ricky Rainey. He's knocked out Taleb. He's hurt people, and then he doesn't finish him, right? The short grit and volume and output and the power of his own. Lee has his own power, right? Salikhov's been hurt and wobbled heaps of times. He's been when Trinaldo bit down and he started cracking him. I was actually surprised it was a 30-27. Even round one, Trinaldo was running away with round one, and he got dropped with like 20 seconds to go, and just lost that round. It's just the things you see. It's like you have to, like, if Lee does that and he doesn't get dropped, that's a round for him. And it's just you're just relying on these moments. But Lee can have his own moments. He hurts a lot of people and he drops a lot of people. And I've always underrated his power, but now taping him more and more recently, he has quite good power, Lee, man. I just thought he was a bit of a hothead that just brawls and he hits people, but I do think he has one punch KO power. Just absolutely wobbling Zaleski all over the place. He's just grazing him with shots, and everything he hits him with, drops him. And in the end, he just finished Zaleski with I think there was an accumulation, right? Everything he was hitting with just added up, and in round 3 he was done. He just fell over from another grazing shot. That's the thing. It's like I see the red flags on the Lee side. So 100% Salikhov should be the favorite. I don't disagree with that, but not this much of a favorite, right? Like, I mean, he's losing rounds to Staropoli, right? He goes to a 29-28, and he's hurt Staropoli bad in round 2. if it doesn't hurt him, that's the only clear round of the fight. The other 2 rounds where Staropoli's beaten up and gassed or not hurt, they're close. Zaleski fight close all the way through, split decision. Everyone thought he lost that fight. Ricky Rainey, he bombed on him in round 2, but before he was bombing on him, he was doing absolutely nothing. Right? He does have that insane right hand. Right? I think he's just, people underestimate how hard this Muslim hits, man. He's an absolute animal. So yeah, I don't like Lee's. I can't get a beat on his striking. It's kind of like his hands are low. He's got a lot of head movement with his hands by his waist, and he stays in the pocket. It's like, come on, hit me, and everyone hits him. He's not hard to hit. So I hope he was a lot more technical against Ponzinibbio, right? Ponzinibbio couldn't get a 1-2 off going at all. Lee was a lot more evasive. I'm hoping he comes out like that and he's just kind of being a bit more patient, right? If he's going to be patient, Salikhov's going to give him a patient, low output fight, right? He's going to be waiting for the shot. And even if he doesn't drop him, and even if Lee doesn't use his output and grit, it's still going to be a close fight just by default, right? Because they're both going to be staring at each other. And then hopefully, it's a moment winner versus a minute winner. But Lee is also a moment winner, right? He's dropped heaps of people. He's hurt heaps of people. So it's just, yes, there's red flags there. I'm scared about his hitability and whatnot. But then it shouldn't be this wide. End of the day, if this is finally the fight where Salikhov loses a split decision, then I want to be on the side of Lee, right? It's not going to be like a unit. I might have half a unit just for shits and gigs, right? I thought about the overs and stuff. I can't do it. Both guys love to get a KO. Salikhov, man, like I said, he's been cracked by Trinaldo. He's been cracked by Zaleski multiple times. He's live to be hit. So yeah, at these odds, I think he should be $210, $72, right? Maybe like the odds that we have on Stoltzfus, Davy Grant, not get Davy Grant. Whatever his first name is and last name Grant. I think that's where it should be. Should be slight underdog due to his hitability and Salikhov being more technical and sharp. But yeah, as the fight progresses, if Lee's still in the fight, Salikhov's going to slow down. He's going to throw less and less. He might be a bit bloodied up. Yeah, not overly confident, but this is my other stab. I've taken a stab here, and I've got Jing Liang. Hopefully, he doesn't get sparked. If he doesn't get sparked, I think there's going to be some magic. All right, co-main, you got anything on Waterson Lemos? I see another fight where odds have gotten really narrow.
Nah, like I was looking for reasons to like Waterson on tape, but her upside is probably like a split decision or a close like 29-28 decision. She probably needs to grapple here. But the main thing against Lemos is I just don't see how she can make it work. I think Lemos is going to be able to like self-pace for most of the fight. Waterson will just be on the outside hitting air until she rushes in to try to shoot the takedown. Lemos's takedown defense not great, but first layer should be enough, I think. And just the sheer like physicality difference probably be enough to keep Waterson off her. I think it was likely going to a decision though. Waterson's tough, and yeah, Lemos slows down. I'm not sure, and plus Waterson's just like not going to engage in any kind of brawl or anything. She's pretty selective with her exchanges on the feet. So yeah, I think it's probably a Lemos decision in most cases. Yeah, Waterson just doesn't have the tools to make it work hard enough, and her wrestling's not really good enough, I think, to get Lemos down and wear her out. So, yeah, pass for me.
Yeah, I agree with you more or less. Another fight that I left for this morning, the women's fights. Before I went on, I said I was going to do a bit more tape, but I think I've seen what I needed to see. I got halfway through the Waterson Rodriguez fight. I think this fight is a strawweight, right? I think it was a flyweight on topology, but now they've changed it to strawweight, which means
it should be strawweight. No way Waterson would be fighting at flyweight, would she? Should be tiny.
Yeah, well, she fought a flyweight against Rodriguez, so yeah. I thought maybe, but yeah, topology had it a flyweight, and then they changed it now, so it's the same as UFC. So I think that tells you that they fixed their mistake. So yeah, that's, I guess, she gives her a bit more of a chance at strawweight, but then again, Amanda, she'd be moving up too. I think Waterson, she suffers from getting bullied a lot. Physicality is going to be there for Lemos. She struggled a bit against Angela Hill, but I think Angela Hill has the physicality to match her. She's very strong, and we've seen what Angela Hill did to Waterson. If that's a 3-round fight, right? Angela wins 29-28, unanimous for once in her life. All the time she's been robbed on a split, and then she gets a 5-rounder, and she would have won that 3-rounder, but she gets robbed there too. It just struggles. Like, she backs up, she looks for those knee stomps, kicks, she blitzes in. And like you said, Lemos is just going to pressure her. She's very technical. She's very patient. If she blitzes in, she can fight on the back foot. She doesn't have much power. I think she loses round 1 at a high clip. She is very live to go for takedowns consistently, but her wrestling does suck. It absolutely sucks. But I guess, she does have a takedown in there, right? She keeps going for it. She does have a sneaky, jump on the back when the takedown gets stuffed. I can see why people would play it because of that. I mean, when I started taping the Hill fight, and she just keeps going for it, but she couldn't get it. And it's a 3-round fight, and she loses round 1 at a pretty high clip. I don't think Lemos' cardio was that bad. Every time I rewatched that Hill fight, she was still strong enough to throw Hill around in the clinch and stuff the takedowns, right? That basically went to the split decision, because whenever Hill was actually aggressive for once in her life, and whenever she was throwing, Lemos would slip or react bad to the punch. It was nothing to do with the grappling, and I don't think Waterson is going to be able to get the grappling going even late in the fight. And she's been bullied by Rodriguez now. She got bullied by Angela Hill. She got bullied by Joanna. She's very tough. So look, I don't fault anyone taking the play. Early play. She's tough. She's going to be in there. It's going to go to a decision, right? Lemos slows down, so she doesn't get a finish. Does she cover that line? Definitely not, most likely, right? Waterson's not a scrub. Yes, she is old, and she's losing to most women that are higher up in the ranking. But yeah, it's just I see her struggling early. I see the power disadvantage, struggling with the wrestling. I don't know. I'm not 100% in love with the dog, even though the odds are quite wide. So maybe I just save my money here.
I think that's probably advisable. I mean, if you are looking to Waterson to bet her, just wait for the live bet. I mean, she's probably not getting much done early, so just wait, see how it pans out.
Same as the Hill fight. Hill was still a massive underdog after getting dropped in the first round. I also think that's why Lemos gassed out a bit, right? She landed a big bomb and she tried to finish her, and then it engaged in grappling when she got reversed and the adrenaline dropped a bit. I think this is going to be the way Waterson fights. She just keeps backing up. She's going to give Lemos the fight that she wants, a 3-round striking battle.
Yeah.
She's tough, but she doesn't have the grit of someone like Angela Hill, right? So she's just going to back up and not engage, maybe not want to get hit. And Lemos is going to have plenty of cardio to land the harder shots and outstrike her.
If you let Lemos self-pace, you're probably not going to have much luck. You got to get in her face and make her work, and that's just the opposite of what Waterson is.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the main event. Ortega Yair. Do you have anything?
Not yet, but pretty clear dog or pass spot for me pre-fight. There's just no way I can get to this line on Ortega, because I think he's likely going to be losing this fight until he wins or starts to take over and start winning. I think he's getting lit up standing at distance early, especially in the big cage. I think that favors Yair a lot because he can, move around, be on his bike. Ortega's striking is not bad, but I just think he's way too hittable to have consistent success against Yair. And especially we saw Yair really go into that calf kick against Max. I can see that landing a bunch here. Ortega doesn't have any real wrestling or means of consistently getting the fight to the floor. He has hit some takedowns. I remember you mentioned that, but man, he's just not consistent enough with it for me to really be able to trust it, especially at this price. If you like Ortega, I think his subline's the way to bet him. Otherwise, just wait to live bet. He's a slow starter. It probably takes him a while to come into the fight and for the fight to kind of devolve a little bit and get a little bit messy. And that's when he can start forcing clinches and guys start falling over, and that's where he, is really opportunistic with his grappling. And that could for sure happen, like Yair's a mess, man. Like, I'm not surprised if Yair throws like some spinning kick and falls down, and or Ortega jumps on his neck or on his back or something, and we get a finish that way. But I would line it a little bit closer pre-fight, personally, just because I think Yair is probably going to have the better of the early going. So I'm probably looking at getting some action on Yair. He's plus 150 at the moment. I want to see if it gets any wider. And then I'll just be looking to hedge live because, Yair's not really like trustworthy to not put himself in bad positions over 5 rounds, and Ortega only needs 1 chance. So it's definitely something I'd be looking to hedge. But yeah, for me, Ortega, he's just coming off like 2 historical like fucking beatings, like maybe 2 of the biggest beatings of all time. Who knows how he looks after those 2? Like, if I had to guess, probably okay. But at the same time, he's still just so hittable. Yair's striking is super dynamic, super unpredictable. He's got all the tools. And yeah, Ortega's takedowns just kind of suck. And I think it'll just take a little bit of time before Ortega can like consistently start getting to Yair and applying pressure that maybe forces a mistake where he can, jump on him. Or maybe Ortega clips him. Dude hits hard, but, I expect him to get outstruck for the most part. So yeah, looking to get on Yair pre-fight with the, objective of hedging live as soon as possible. What about you? What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's definitely a dog or pass for me, man. It's the first fight I taped. I always tape main events first now, just in case. Yeah, big dog or pass. It's what I had envisioned in my mind, that just the tape confirmed it. Every time I tape that Korean Zombie fight, I just realized how overrated that performance was. All he did was he came back and fought more patiently, right? I played Ortega there, right? Everyone, the consensus thing was, Ortega's going to get knocked out because he's so hittable, and Korean Zombie is so, so good at countering, and he's so powerful. But then you take Korean Zombie and he leaves a lot to be desired. And then you take fights like Moicano and Ortega, and he's losing by a more sharper technical strike, and he just breaks him. He breaks him with that pressure, and he's there to brawl. Ortega's there to brawl. And right, he didn't come out to brawl, and he's just more patient, and his boxing shined in that fight because, Zombie was flat-footed, and the first round was close, and then he just landed a spinning back elbow, and then everything went down the drain, right? Zombie was concussed, and he was just in cruise control. Never got out of first gear, and he was still breathing out of his mouth. It wasn't expanding any energy, and he was like huffing and puffing. I was like, okay, what if someone pushes him? And then he fought Volkanovski, and yes, I know everyone looks horrible against Volkanovski, but it's just what I did see before he got headbutted and got busted up by Volkanovski. It was the same, just bouncing around, looking for his spots, but he doesn't really have an active technical striking game, right?
He's no process. He's just looking for that opportunity. He needs the opportunity.
No process, and if he's going to do something, he'll be in a brawl. Whenever he hit Max, was in a brawl. When Max Holloway was just smashing him, and he thought it was safe in the pocket, and when Ortega threw back, he got him. And if it's just a technical fight, and while he's trying to figure shit out, like, what am I going to, while he's starting slow and he's coming into the fight and he's looking for his process, he's going to kick the crap out of him from the distance, right? He's going to kick the crap out of him, and he's going to jab him up. He's got really strong. It's just a massive difference in terms of athleticism, the power on the punches, the speed. And Ortega's going to be a punching bag. Both are punching bags. Yair's a punching bag. I think Yair might actually have a better chin. Both are Mexican. But the stuff that Yair takes, man, he doesn't even react. Like the stuff that Max was just teeing on his face like he does to Ortega. And most people, when their eyes get shut down and he has a doctor's stoppage and everything's busted up, Yair was fine, man. He's just there in round 4 and 5 after an absolute war, and he's just eating bombs, right? I think he might be another level of durability. And even, Korean Zombie was cracking him in that fight that he was losing. And he's just no worry whatsoever. Like, he was more tired in a 5-rounder than he was, getting beat up by Zombie. And, when Zombie hits you, you get wobbled, right? You get hurt.
Yeah, it's more cardio for Yair. His chin's pretty iron.
Yeah, it's insane. But the thing is, I don't like that, right? I don't like that. If he's gonna be there in front of Brian Ortega when Ortega decides to throw, that just kind of makes it a bit sweaty again, I just see it as a very, very volatile fight. You got a brawl where both guys are durable, but If it's going to be a brawl, I reckon by the end of it, Ortega's going to be the one with a more shut eye and more cuts and more blood on his face. But because Yair just has no defense whatsoever, he's going to be eating shots too, and he's going to make it close, right? Or he might get dropped, and he might get, jumped on his neck. I didn't like how he gives, like you said, gives absolutely no craps about being on the ground. He will throw like a rolling thunder, and when Max gives him a chance to get up, instead of getting up, he just throws a kick and just falls back to his ass again. It's like, dude, just get up, man. Like, you're not going to knock him out with that stupid low-ass percentage move. He's giving you a chance. He just got dominated for the whole round, and Max is like, stand up. And he throws a stupid kick, misses, and just, no, I'll stay on the ground and lose the rest of the round. And you'd like to think that he would come in with a smarter mindset against someone like Ortega. When you look at his 5-round fight against Korean Zombie, he was quite patient, right? He didn't do too much retarded stuff. But then he was losing because he gave that low output fight to Zombie. He was losing. If he fights like he fought against Max Holloway, where he wanted to finish, then yeah, he's going to be racking up points. He's going to be racking up easy points and damage on Ortega. But it's just like, how's he going to look? If he's more patient, he still outstrikes Ortega because of the leg kicks and whatnot. If Ortega turns it up, then it's anyone's game, in the scramble and whatnot. Like, I agree with what you said. If you're going to play Ortega, you got to play him by sub. I still don't have those props. Don't have that on Bet365. I don't know what I can bet with in Europe. Half the Aussie bookies are like not legal here, so I have to find a good submission prop. Have you seen the submission? What's it paying?
Bet Online's got a +210, but they're usually the worst price in the market. What's FanDuel? FanDuel's usually the best.
+210
+280 on FanDuel, which is like I think you guys that Sportsbet or PointsBet is like the FanDuel feed in Australia. Yeah, everyone else is kind of floating like +250, +270, +280. That's way better than me for like a -180 money line, because if it goes to decision, I probably favor Yair pretty heavily. Like if I could get a Yair decision only prop, I'd be on that.
Yeah, look, I can still see Ortega winning a decision, just with the way Yair fights, and giving up round 3 to someone like Stevens by so much.
Yeah,
he just seems very emotional, right? Very emotional, and
oh yeah, for sure.
No doubt. And while emotional, like it's good in some fights, but you don't want to be emotional in the fight where Ortega's also like wants that. He wants that brawl. He wants that war. It's the only way he's going to knock you out. The only way he's going to knock you down, take you down. Sorry, is when you get emotional and he does his once in the blue moon good double. When he surprised Max Holloway and he took him down as well. He can do it, and obviously what he did to Volkanovski, just getting beaten up and one kick counter and he's on the guillotine. It's not even a takedown into half guard; it's straight into mount with a guillotine. That's how opportunistic he is. So it's a very volatile fight. Like it's an easy dog or pass for me, but 5-rounder. If he doesn't knock out Ortega, which he probably won't, he's going to start slowing down a bit. He's going to start doing what Max Holloway did and start giving his neck to Max. I have a sneaky suspicion he doesn't get submitted. He's never been submitted. I went through his whole career. He seems to have really good jiu-jitsu. Back in the day, he was hunting for triangles. He's very explosive. It kind of gives me the vibe of, do you remember that Mackenzie Dern-Rodriguez fight? Everyone's like, as soon as Mackenzie Dern gets it down, it's going to be an easy sub.
Yeah.
Like, what if it's not? I've seen her survive against, she's got very good survival instincts. What if against Calvillo and stuff? What if it's not? It's going to be her fight to lose. So if it's kind of like if Brian Ortega doesn't sub him and Yair gets up off the ground, it's like it's his decision to lose. But then he's hittable, he gasses, he throws rolling thunders, ends up on his ass.
Yeah, it'd be nice if he was a bit less retarded.
Yeah, that would be nice. I think I'll just pass, man. Whatever. It's going to be an amazing fight. I'll sit back and watch it. Hopefully, I'm up at that point, and I'll probably just take depending on what it opens up here. I'll probably take a stab on Ortega decision, man. Sorry, Ortega sub. I'll take a sub.
Yeah.
I'll take a sub.
Yeah.
Take a sub. If it's not amazing, I'm not going to force it because I can see Ortega winning a decision, and I can just see a lot of outcomes, and that's kind of the fight that I don't want my money on. If anything, it will be an amazing live bet, or if anything, you can play Yair and then easily hedge because after round 1, this is going to be a pick 'em, no doubt. At worst case, or Yair is going to be a favorite after kicking the shit out of his leg.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. So that's it, man. We seem to be agreeing on a few things. Hopefully, it's a good card. And hopefully we're on the right side as opposed to the public and just that are steaming all these other bets.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, you got a favorite bet for this card?
Favorite,
I
Ricky.
think I know what you're gonna say anyway. So
Yeah, it's Ricky Simone.
yeah, same here, man. We're on the same page.
And then I guess after that would probably be Jacoby in terms of value, but quite like Burgos now that he's come back to this price as well. Yeah, those would probably be my favorites.
Yeah. All right, I gotta decide between Lee and Burgos for my second one. I don't want to say Burns, but I just imagine if he gets around one sub, how good of a bet that would be.
It's a good island to be on.
He's not unsubmittable, man. The fucking Shane Burgos re-neck choked and put him out cold.
No, nothing's unsubmittable.
Yeah, if you keep giving your neck like that, and they're deep subs, they're not just like over the chin, not even close. He's having to gut him out because they're already under the chin. And
yeah,
like
Burns,
Herbert Burns, man.
Probably like the best jiu-jitsu pedigree he's fought as well.
Yeah, you'd like to think he would be smart, but who knows? So yeah, I reckon Simone hands down my favorite bet. Don't have much else, man. Lee, I'm only having a half a unit, but yeah, Burgos I just hammered 1 unit on the KO decision. So that's about it. But yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for joining me. That was fun. Hopefully we cash. You got anything to add? No. No,
that's it. Thanks for having me. Yeah, good to chat.
Follow this man on Twitter, just so you can see when he retweets my tweets. And make sure you do the comp. Write a comment, man. You were going to write a comment last week. You didn't. You could have got $300 from me, but
I would have lost, man. I was cold as ice last week.
What was your favorite bet? You said you have a bet in mind, but you never told me.
It probably would have been like the Petrosian decision or something. So obviously that wouldn't have worked out for me.
Yeah, that's I had a lot of those. It was a good value play, but I actually didn't watch it. I was on the plane. I was just glad that my $1.66 bet cashed on what's his old mate Kayo.
Yeah, I was watching in between like warming up the guys, and yeah, I just saw it was just a body triangle fight. It was just fucking take him down.
Well, I said that was gonna happen. He's smart enough to do that, and I thought people were scaring me off when he was gonna gas, and I'm like, and all the sharps are on Armin, and then I'm like, fuck, maybe I should cash out and go on Armin, because if I was a sharp and I missed out on the early line, I would 100% be playing Armin decision here. But then I'm like, you know what? I've got a good line. If he's 2-0 up, doesn't matter if he's gassed. There's a chance he might not get finished, which is exactly what happened. He just trickled his way to a decision.
Yeah, so, Robocop fight was just ended up not being a great indicator. Armin's takedown defense looked terrible. I don't know how that dude survives training in Dagestan when his takedown defense is that bad. Fucking hell.
Well, the thing is, Dagestanis can't control him. But the old backpack again, the typical backpack. It's a different story.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
Let's leave it at that. It was a good chat. I don't know when I'm going to do the next one. See how I'm moving around Europe. So we'll keep in touch.
All right. Cool, man.
All right.
Catch up.